Good morning, everybody. It's Ben Jones here from Bronson Coffee Roasters, and I realized I haven't made a Chemex in quite some time, so I grabbed my favorite Chemex hoodie, which, if you're looking for a hoodie, go to their store, their web store. I believe it's the ChemexCoffeemaker.com, and this is one of the softest and most comfy hoodies I've ever had in my life. Anyway, so Chemex is a very iconic design. Usually if we see this hourglass shape, we're going to think Chemex, so much so that they even made an hourglass shaped mug top brewer, double wall insulated, to give us that shape. And of course I have my kettle made by Chemex. So I'm a bit of a fan of the Chemex out here. And I just want to talk through how simple it is to use. Let me tilt down a little bit so you can get more of the counter space. All right, so the thing that most gives the Chemex its characteristic cup profile is the thick paper filter. We've talked about this before. This is born of chemistry lab paper filter material. And if you take that sheet, fold it in half, and then in half again, we can grab one of the paper sheets, open up, and give us a little pocket. Very crucial when you insert this, the pour spout that's on the Chemex, we want the thickest portion of the paper to line with that. That is simply to prevent the paper from collapsing in and choking out the flow of coffee. All right, so always give a little rinse. The thick paper filtration, it's a double-edged sword with the Chemex. It is both the reason behind it and the greatest detriment. If you don't give it the rinse, you'll tend to end up with a little bit of paper flavor in your coffee. Now from here, we want to be sure to get that rinse water out, and there are a few different methods for doing this. Some will very carefully pour out through the spout. Some will remove the paper completely. I like to just grab the single side, pull it back a little, and then from there, if it doesn't collapse down on me, I'm usually doing it not one-handed, but I want you to be able to see. We just pour out all that rinse water because it's not delicious. All right, make sure to place that and just make sure it sits in well. Cool, all right. For the Chemex, they come in a lot of different sizes, and this kind of a standard multi-service Chemex form, they call them a 6-cup and an 8-cup. The only thing that's different is the shape of the bulb down at the bottom. So the 8-cup, of course, will have a larger. This is the 6-cup. I believe this is the 6-cup. Don't even keep track, because for me, I treat them the same because the filter up top is the same for both of them. So if you just want to make extra coffee, you can use your 6-cup instead of the 8-cup. Just add a little extra in here. However, I found that with this filter, with the geometry of it, I tend to like using no more than about 42 grams of ground coffee and not much less than kind of 38. So it has a pretty specific bam that it likes. So basically I treat these Chemexes as a 2-mug brewer. I want to make sure y'all can see this. I'm going to scoot this over, and we're going to adjust the camera down a little bit. And I want you to be able to see what we have going, and even get some, there we go. Thank you for hanging out while we work on the technical bits. All right, now here are a couple different options here. Generally, I give a little bit of level shake. Some people like to put a little divot in there. You can just use your finger. We just created a little crater. The idea behind that crater is that if we put our water right in there, it'll start to pool, and that helps to get water down everywhere. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it's an idea. So we'll just pour some water in there. It is kind of fun to watch it fill and then flow over. And we're going to add just enough water to get everything saturated. Typically it's going to take about twice the weight in water as your grounds. So if I'm using 42 grams, I would add about 84. These large bubbles, those are dry pockets getting saturated. I don't want to have too long of a delayed saturation, so a stir with a little bamboo skewer or something is not a bad idea. Similarly, when it's nice and full, a lift and swirl works. Now the drip has slowed considerably, so I will just go and start my pour. And there are a lot of techniques with Chemex. I just like to add some water, and I'm going to bring it all the way up to where the glass ridge of the Chemex sits. I just have some burping going on in there. All right. I'm just going to keep on bringing that up and all the way up to the top ridge of the Chemex, which should put us right at about 600 grams total. There we are, 593 grams. All right, and then here, I'm starting to see the filter collapse a little bit into the spout. So if that happens, pinch right here at the thick part and right here, give a little lift. The coffee will speed up. I'm gonna give a little turn there and then reset it so it is now sitting nice and flush and we're not getting that collapse into here. When it collapses, it just chokes off the exchange of air and water, which then slows the flow. All right, now I have a lot of high and dry coffee grounds. To get those back in right now, they're not contributing any flavors, so I'm just going to start by rinsing them back in. Once the water has dropped down about a finger's thickness from the top, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it back up to that old level, and that will put us at approximately 750 grams, which that works. Target brew with this Chemex, if you're using between 38 and 42 grams, we're going to want to hit about 700, 750 grams. The basic math on that, just multiply your coffee grounds by 17. That smells really great. The coffee we're brewing today is mostly the Guatemala El Valle from Batdorf and Bronson, but then I took a little bit of the Ethiopian natural Shakuzi Guji and sprinkled some of that in just to add a little bit of fruitiness, a little bit of spice. I tend to not enjoy a full cup of natural processed coffee on its own, but mixed in with a good old-fashioned Central American, we get a really nice, complex, fun cup of coffee. All right. It's feeling really good. So I'm getting impatient, and I want to start drinking my coffee. It's really hard to wait for it to drip all the way through sometimes. When I'm not talking and distracting myself, this takes about 4.5 minutes, start to finish. With the brew, right here, we're just at about 4.5 minutes, so that is a good sign. And again, with any of the brewers, what we're matching when we're talking about times, we're matching grind size with contact time, especially on percolator drip through methods. When the grounds are very small, we want very small contact time. When they're larger, we want a little bit larger contact time. All right. Clean up on the Chemex. This is one of my favorite things. Simply lift out your paper, collect it, compost it. There we are now. That is just beautiful. That really thick paper of the filter, that pulls out a lot of the little materials, the coffee particles, the oils, things that tend to block up our flavor receptors on our tongue. And that gives us a much more clear and flavorful cup of coffee where you really see all of the tones and notes. Because of the iconic hourglass shape, I will use my Chemex mug today, not my diner mug. There we are. Little Chemex in the morning, spilling all over the place. It's very hot. It's a good cup of coffee though. All right, thanks for joining. If you need any coffees, I recommend checking out batdorfcoffee.com. Got some really fun coffees. That El Valle is almost always on the shelf. That's one of our major relationship coffees. I think we will always have that. The Ethiopia Shakuzi, it's a natural coffee, comes in and out of season. So definitely hit up batdorfcoffee.com, check it out. Some good coffees. Enjoy your day.